The story was sent to me by one of my subscribers,
Make sure to hit that
Maya,
like button on this
and
video
I
so
wanted
we
to
can
share
keep
it on the
bringing you
channel.
more. Subscribe if
Years
you haven't
ago,
already.
I
and
moved
drop
into
a
an
comment
older
below to share your
apartment.
thoughts
It
or
was
your
cheap,
own experiences.
and the building
Your
only had
support
8
is what
units,
keeps these stories
4
coming.
on the ground
There
floor
was
and
this
4
old
above,
guy who
and
lived with
all
his
of them
wife
opened
and dog
to the
in a
outside.
big detached
It was
house
all I could
just
afford.
a few houses
Otherwise,
down
there
the
is
street
no
from where
way
I
I would
grew
have
up.
moved in.
He was a bit
Rent
of a
was
shut-in,
about
and I never
$400
saw
a
him
month,
talking to
which was
anyone.
really
The only
inexpensive
reason
for that
he
area.
ever left his house
My
was to
unit
walk
was on
his
the
dog.
ground level
We
at the
lived
far
on the
end.
same street
It
in
had
peace
one
for the
bedroom,
longest time.
one bathroom,
And
a
although
living
he
room,
seemed
and a kitchen.
antisocial,
After
everything
moving
appeared
in,
normal.
I filled the
Then
place
one day,
with the furniture I
things
had.
started to go
I did not own
downhill.
much, and for
People
the first
began
2
to
or
notice
3
how
days,
the car belonging
everything
to
was
his wife
fine.
was no longer
I was
in
gone
the
most of the
driveway.
day for work,
Later,
and back
it was
by
confirmed
nightfall,
that she
so
had
I
divorced
barely
him
noticed
and moved
anything
away.
unusual.
This was only
One
discovered
night,
because
I went
her
to bed
former
around 10
colleague
p.m.
happened to bump
and was
into a
woken
neighbor.
in the middle
It
of the
actually
night
took
by a
about
knock
2 weeks
at my
for
front
people
door.
to realize she was
I
gone
glanced
for
at
good.
the clock. It
We
was
were sad
nearly
for him,
midnight.
but marriages
I
fall
sat
apart,
up, turned
and
on
he
the bedroom
seemed to be
light,
acting like
and
his
wondered
usual
why
self.
anyone
so no
would be
alarms were
knocking at
raised.
that hour.
One morning,
I got out
sometime
of bed
later,
and
I
walked
left
into the
my
living
house
room,
at the usual
flipping
time
that
to
light
catch
on
the school
too.
bus. Our
From
street
where I
was normally
stood,
very
I
quiet,
could make out a
but on this
silhouette at the
particular
door.
morning, things
The
were
moment
different.
the light came on,
A
the
few
person
neighbors were
immediately
standing
turned
outside,
and walked
and my
away.
parents said something
I did
was
not
wrong
get a
with
good
the
look
old
at
guy
them.
at the end of the street.
I went to the door to check,
Everyone seemed
but they were
worried
already
because
gone,
he had
and I could
apparently
find
gotten
no
into an
sign of
argument
them
with
anywhere.
someone while walking his
It
dog.
was weird,
People
but
were
I
shocked
told
he
myself
was even
it was
speaking,
nothing
since
and went
he
back
hadn't
to
talked
bed.
to anyone in years.
I fell asleep again
Then, when he
without
suddenly
incident
started
and
screaming,
did not wake up for the
everyone
rest
came
of the
out of their
night.
houses to see what
The
was
next
happening.
day was
I
normal.
wanted to stay and
Work,
watch, but
come
my
home,
parents told
into
me to
bed
go to
at 10
school.
p.m.
All day,
For a
I thought
second
about
night
it from
in a
time to
row,
time.
I woke
I
in the
wasn't
middle of the
obsessed,
night,
but I was
this
curious
time,
whether
there
he
was
had
no
been
knocking,
arrested
and
or
the
taken
apartment
away.
was
I
eerily
was eager to
silent.
hear what had
I
happened
turned
when I got
over,
home,
trying
but
to go
that
back to
eagerness
sleep,
fills me
but
with
suddenly
shame now,
I was wide
because
awake
what I
and
returned
gripped by
to
a
was
deep,
not entertaining
irrational
at all.
terror.
When I got
sat
off the
up
bus,
and turned
I
on the
saw
bedroom
that the
light.
whole street
Everything
had been
looked
blocked
fine,
off.
so I
Police
decided
cars
to
were
get up,
everywhere,
use the
and even a
bathroom, and
SWAT
try
team
to
was on
sleep
the scene.
again.
I had no
When I
idea what
opened
was
the bedroom
happening,
door,
so I
the
rushed
only
to the
light in the
house
apartment
where my
came
parents
from my
explained
bedroom,
that the
so
old
the
guy
living
had
room
tried to
and
destroy
kitchen
the
were mostly
entire
in
street
shadow.
in some kind of
I
manic
stepped
episode.
out and paused.
He had flooded
A
his basement
strange
with gas
noise came
and
from the
built
kitchen
an
area,
improvised bomb
from a
in
section
his
that was
garden
not
shed.
immediately
It
visible.
was essentially
My
a
heart
pile
started
of
racing.
propane gas
I
tanks
called out,
tied
"Is
together
anybody there?"
with a timer,
There
clock,
was no
and toaster
answer.
serving
The
as the
silence
fuse
pressed
mechanism
in,
for
and
both
I
the
did
bomb
not know
and
what
the
to do.
basement. The
I
whole
crept
thing was
forward
rigged
and
to
tried to
explode
peek
between
over the
7
counter
and
toward
8
the
in the
source of
morning,
the sound.
and he had also placed a
Seconds
smaller
later,
device
someone suddenly
inside
stood
the recycling
up from
bin
behind
of
the
the
counter
neighbor's next
and ran
door.
straight toward the
Before
front
triggering
door.
the bomb,
They
he
were
wrecked
only
the
about
interior
15
of his
feet
house,
away.
smashing
I
and
could
breaking
not see them
everything,
clearly,
and
but
then
I was
carried on the
certain
destruction
it was
in
my
his
landlord.
garage. That
He reached
noise
the door,
is what got
threw
him
it
caught.
open, and
A neighbor
sprinted
became
out of my
suspicious,
apartment.
looked through the
I
garage
could not
window, and
believe
noticed
what
the
I had
strong
just
smell
seen.
of gasoline.
I rushed to the
He
door,
broke the door,
slammed it
discovered
shut,
the
and
mess,
locked it.
and confronted
Hands
the old
shaking,
man.
I went back
That
to my
was the
bedroom
argument
and called
everyone
the
had heard
police.
earlier.
I told them
Afterward,
my
the
landlord
neighbor
had broken
immediately
into my
called the
apartment
police.
in the middle
At
of
the
the
very
night
same
without my
time, my
permission.
parents were scolding
The
me to
officers
hurry
came,
to school.
took my
Our
statement,
neighbor was
and
actually
said
trying
they
to
would speak
activate
to the
the
landlord.
explosives
There
and
was
blow
nothing
up
more I
the
could do
entire
that
street.
night, so I
The
tried
bomb
to
squad
sleep.
later said it was
The
a
next
miracle
day,
the
I
device
learned
did
more.
not detonate.
The landlord
It was well put
admitted he
together,
had been in the
with
apartment.
the only weak parts
He was
being the
apparently
timer
involved
and detonator.
in other illegal
If the old
activities
man
as
had
well.
been more careful with
Because
those pieces,
of what came to light,
I would not be all
here
the
to
tenants
tell
were
the
forced
story.
to move out, and
The
the building
police
was
arrived
transferred
not
to new
long after I
ownership.
left for school.
I had
They
to
entered the
scramble to
home
find
and
a new
arrested him
place on
before
short
he could
notice,
fix the
but in the
mistakes
end,
and
it
detonate
was
the
for the
device.
best. I would
For a
much
while,
rather
it
live
looked like
somewhere
we might
without a
have to stay
landlord
in a
who
hotel
thinks it is
overnight.
acceptable
But the bomb
to
squad
break in
removed the
at night.
explosives about an hour
Thank
after
you
I
to
returned
Maya
home.
for sending
Once
this
the police
terrifying
trucks left,
story.
we were
If
allowed
you
back
have a
into our
story,
houses.
send it in, and
After
it
his
might be
arrest,
featured
the
next.
man was declared
This
unfit
story
to
was
stand
sent to me
trial
by
and
one
was
of my
sent directly from
subscribers,
court
Anna,
to a
and I
psychiatric
wanted to share
hospital
it on the
where
channel.
he has remained
I
ever
was there
since.
the day it
From what I
happened,
understand,
but it is my
he is
sister
very
who still
unlikely to
carries the
ever be
worst of it.
discharged, as
We
His
grew up in
condition
a
has
small
not improved,
Midwestern
and
town
he
of
still
under
harbors
20,000
a
people.
deep hatred
Our
of the
home was
world.
very religious when we
From
were
the
kids.
ages of
We read
around
the Bible
6
every
to
evening
11,
and went to
my
church
family
twice a
and I
week.
lived in a
Even
very
after we
rough
drifted away
neighborhood.
from church,
One
I
night,
remember
it
those
was just
years
my mom,
fondly.
myself,
People were
and
kind,
my 2
and
siblings
it felt
at
like
home.
one big family.
My dad used to drive
My
trucks for
sister
a
and I
living, which
never
meant he
wanted
was
for
away a lot.
anything, and we
so
always
most of the
felt
time
loved.
it was just our
Our
mom taking
parents
care
did
of
their
us.
best, and to my
That
young
night,
eyes,
around
they seemed
midnight,
nearly
someone
perfect.
started ringing our
I was
apartment's
12,
buzzer.
and Martina
My
was
mom
9
woke up
when the
and went to
first
the little
strange
intercom
thing
to ask
happened
who
at
it
school.
was, but
We
no
attended
one
a
answered.
small Christian
She
private
figured it was
school
kids
where
playing
everyone
ding
took
dong
recess
ditch,
at the same
so
time.
instead of being scared,
As an older
she was just
sister,
annoyed
I was
and went back
protective.
to bed.
I always kept an eye on Martina,
About 30 minutes
even
later,
when she was
someone
playing with
buzzed
friends.
again.
One
Mom
day,
got up,
I was talking
looked
with a
through the
girl my
side window
age
to
when
see
she
if she
pointed
could
out
spot
Martina
anyone,
standing
but
by the
saw
fence with a
nothing.
man I did not recognize.
That's when she started to get
That
nervous.
set my
She
nerves
went back
on
to the
edge.
bedroom,
It was the
grabbed my
90s,
dad's gun,
and we had all been
sat in the
warned
living
about
room in the
stranger
dark,
danger.
waiting for someone
Martina
to
had
try
always
to
been
break in.
friendly to anyone nice to
After
her.
what felt like
Her
forever,
innocence was sweet,
the buzzer
but
rang
I
again.
knew to be cautious.
This time,
I
my
ran
mom
to
said
our
she
teacher,
calmly
and we
explained
hurried
that
toward
if
the
they
fence.
kept harassing us,
The man
she would call the
fled
cops.
as soon as
and if
he
they
saw
tried to
us.
break in, she
Martina
would
was
shoot
crying
them.
when we reached her.
There was no response.
She did not
She
understand
went
why
back
we
to
had
the
scared
window,
the man away.
and that time
I tried
she
to
saw
explain,
3
but
men
she was too
outside.
naive to
Their
see the
faces
danger.
were covered, and they were
After
staring
that day,
right up
I
at
ate
her
lunch
window.
with her and
She
stayed
rushed
close
to
at
call the
recess.
police, while
She
me and my
hated
siblings
it,
were
but
asleep
I
in
did
our
not
bedroom.
care. I could
No one
not
tried
stop
to break
thinking
in
about
right
her
away,
safety.
but my
I had
mom had to wait
nightmares
an
of her being
hour for the
grabbed,
cops to
and I
finally
became
arrive.
obsessed.
When
My
they
parents
did,
were worried
they
and
buzzed
tried
our
to teach her
buzzer,
about
and she
danger,
panicked,
but they
thinking it was the
stopped when
masked
she
men
started
again.
to cry.
Thankfully,
Now that I am a
it was
parent,
the police.
I understand why they
She let them
hesitated.
in, and they searched
It's a
the outside of
difficult
the building
balance
to make
between
sure no
protecting
one
a
was hanging
child
around.
and preserving her
After
innocence.
their search, they told my
We
mom
began
they
riding
had
the
found
bus
a piece
instead of
barbed
walking to
wire,
school,
about
and the
4
school
feet
hired
long,
a second
lying
safety
next to the
officer
front
to patrol
door.
the campus.
They asked if it was hers.
For months, it
she
seemed
said no
to work.
and asked why.
The second officer was
The cop
eventually let
explained that
go
it
when
might have
things calmed
belonged
down.
to
We all
whoever was
assumed the man
knocking.
had moved on.
Mom asked if they thought the
let
men
our
planned
guard
on
slip.
using it, but the
9
officer said
months
there was
later,
no way to know.
everything changed.
To this day,
It
my
was a
mom
warm
is
Saturday
convinced
afternoon,
they were planning
the first
to torture
true
us.
warm weekend of the
What
year.
the police did
We were at the
confirm
park
was
with our
that she
mother
was
and some
very
friends.
smart not to open
I
the
had been
door
pushing Martina
because
on the
it could have
swings.
cost her life.
I stepped away for a drink,
They promised
and in
to
the
patrol
time
the
it took
neighborhood
me to
until
turn,
morning
a
and
man
conduct
grabbed
a full
her and ran.
investigation once
I heard her
daylight came.
scream and saw him carrying
Later that
her.
morning,
I
after
took
my
off
siblings and
after
I
him,
went to
shouting
school,
for my mother.
the police called
Other
back
mothers
to talk to my
chased as
mom.
well. The
They
man
told her
looked
that
like
during
he
their
might
search,
escape.
they had
Just a
found
few yards
footprints
from his
leading
car.
around to the
He
back of the
stopped
house,
and set Martina
right up
down.
to my bedroom
He seemed
window.
frustrated
Our
and
apartment
patted
was on
his
the second
shirt as if
floor,
checking
but it
for
would have
something.
been easy for
He
someone
moved
with
to
a
pick her
ladder
up
to
again,
reach.
but
They
hesitated
also
when
found
he saw
marks
we
on the
were
window
close.
frame where someone had
Then he
tried to
turned and
pry
ran
it
to his
open,
car
but
and
failed.
sped away.
My
My
mom
mother
always
and a few
suspected
others
one of our
managed
neighbors.
to get his
He would
license
stare
plate.
at her in a very
When we
creepy
reached
way
Martina,
whenever they
she was
crossed
shaking
paths,
and had wet
and
herself.
he knew
She was
exactly when my dad
terrified.
was gone because
My
he
mother held her
recognized
tight,
his
and we
truck.
all cried.
That night was the
Relief
final
and
straw.
heartbreak tangled
as soon
together.
as my dad came home,
The police
she gave him
questioned
an ultimatum.
Martina, but
either
she
find
could
us
not,
somewhere else to
or
live,
would not
or she was
speak.
leaving with the kids.
She stopped
Within
answering
6
anyone.
months, we were living in
The
a new
bright,
home, and I
talkative girl
celebrated
we
my
knew
12th
grew
birthday
distant
in a
and
place where
empty.
she finally
She
felt
sat
safe,
with a faraway look
no longer
and
in a
barely
neighborhood
reacted
where
to
she had to
anyone.
sleep with one
My
eye
mother
open.
tried everything.
Thanks for sticking
Counselors
around
and
till the
psychiatrists
end.
came
if
and
you
went.
enjoyed the story,
Progress
don't forget
was
to
slow.
give the video a like.
Over
and
months,
leave a comment
Martina
with your
began to
thoughts.
speak again,
And if you haven't
but she
already,
never
hit that
returned to the
subscribe button
carefree
and turn on
trust she once
notifications
had.
so you never
The man
miss
was
a
eventually
terrifying
found and
tale.
arrested.
See you in the
Our
next
father
one.
took an active role in the investigation, and the man went to prison. I do not know the details of his sentence or where he served time. What I do know is that the damage to Martina was permanent. permanent in many ways. She grew up wary, preferring to be alone in her room, where she felt safe. She avoided dating strangers and welcomed only people she had known for years. She did eventually find someone to be with, but the trauma strains that relationship even now. If the man ever returns to our town, it will not end well for him. We still carry that day with us. It taught me that even in a small town with good people and watchful parents, danger can appear without warning. You can take every precaution and still be surprised. That lesson is a scar that never fully fades. Thank you to Anna for sending this deeply personal story. If you have a story, send it in and it might be featured next.
This story was sent to me by one of my subscribers, Lucas, and I wanted to share it on the channel. Growing up, I never went to summer camp because my parents could not afford it. I remember asking one year if I could go, but it was shut down quickly. My parents could barely make ends meet. I did get to attend a sports camp one summer. It was like a typical camp, but focused on one sport, basketball. It lasted 1 week. We did drills, scrimmages, ate, made friends, and had a good time. After I graduated, my life took an unexpected turn. I started coaching basketball at the high school level and teaching fundamentals to grade school kids. After a successful first year, I asked the community whether they would want a basketball summer camp. I was overwhelmed by the support. Before the school year ended, I found a gym to rent and decided to host a camp for kids in 4th through 10th grade. Registration was first come, first served, and the camp ran Monday through Saturday with an overnight option. To my absolute joy, every spot filled within a couple of days. I could not wait to get started. While we were packing up on the last day of signups, a very angry man burst into the gym and began screaming, "Hey, where do you think you are going?" he shouted. "I am signing up my boy right now, so you better wait right there." I was immediately annoyed by his tone, but I tried to stay calm. I explained that every spot had been filled and apologized. He was not having it. He kicked over chairs and threw things. I tried to calm him so I could explain again, but he would not stop. Thankfully, his child was not with him and did not have to witness the outburst. He finally left after giving a dramatic speech about how I had not seen the last of him and that I would be sorry. As a coach, I had been threatened by parents before, and I did not take it too seriously. Most of the time, people say stupid things in anger and then move on. I treated this like one of those incidents and tried not to worry about it. Camp began and ran much like the camp I had attended as a kid. Drills, scrimmages, downtime, and some fun mini-games to build character and team camaraderie. My staff and I worked the kids hard the first day, and by that night, nearly every camper was asleep by 8 or 9 p.m., which was a relief. That routine continued for a couple of days. By Wednesday, only one child wanted to go home. After a conversation, we convinced him to give it one more night. Around 11 p.m., I was doing my rounds to make sure the kids were in bed and quiet. The camp was held in an old school building that had been converted for our use. We had turned classrooms into sleeping spaces that felt like cabins inside the school. The gym, cafeteria, and stage were connected by a long hallway. As I walked toward the gym, I heard a noise coming from the stage in the cafeteria. I shouted up and asked whoever was up there to come down. No response. I could clearly hear footsteps, though, so I called again. Still no answer. I climbed up onto the stage and shone my flashlight around. I did not see anyone, and for a moment, the space was silent. Then an angry voice called out, "I told you you'd be sorry." I flashed the light into the black folds of the curtain, and someone charged at me from that shadow. It was the same man from registration. He tackled me and started punching. One of the other coaches heard the commotion and ran in. He pulled the attacker off me. The man was flailing wildly. I had no choice but to punch him to stop him. Once we subdued him, I called the police. They arrived quickly and escorted the man out. The situation was stranger than it first appeared. The man's son had already been signed up for the camp. He had been separated from the child's mother and did not have custody. The police told me the mother had warned him several times that the child was already registered. He said he was upset he had not been the one to sign up the boy and insisted it was a father's duty. It was a messy and frightening situation. The man was clearly unstable. I spent most of the next day contacting parents to let them know what had happened and reassure them that their children were safe. That incident was the only one of its kind, and I am grateful it did not ruin the camp for the kids. Still, Every year before I run the camp, I think about that man. I have no idea how he even got into the building. All the doors had been locked, and there were no windows he could have climbed through. The only thing I can think of is that he arrived on the first day and hid inside the school for the entire time we were there. The thought of that gives me chills. It taught me something I already suspected. Even when you think you are safe, you never really know who might be watching. Thank you to Lucas for sending this terrifying story. If you have a story, send it in and it might be featured next.
Thanks for sticking around till the end. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to give the video a like and leave a comment with your thoughts. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a terrifying tale. See you in the next one.